Okay, welcome everyone. Hope you're doing well. Let's just come to a seated position now. You can sit on your heels or you can come cross-legged just to sit down. Just find a place of comfort and just take a few nice deep breaths. We're going to be running through the Ashtanga standing primary series. Okay, and there just will be a few people that I need to let in as we just start this session. So just try and really get some space between each vertebrate. So sit up nice and straight here on the mat. And we always use that analogy. You've got a bit of string. Imagine that's just pulling your head upwards, okay? Just elongating that spine, bringing the shoulder blades towards one another and just letting the hands rest down at the side wherever's comfortable for you. Imagine you've got a piece of duct tape over your mouth. We're going to be breathing only through the nose for this session. And I would encourage that you do that throughout any yoga session that you do, unless of course you're very congested, in which case do use the mouth. So try and take as big a breath in as you've ever taken in your whole life. Okay, let's just really try and oxygenate the body, really use the full capacity of the lungs. Huge big breath, really feel the chest rise open here, and exhale. Okay, you can probably hear my breathing, and that's no bad thing. Hearing the breath is a fantastic part of yogic practice and yogic endeavor. Okay, so one more big breath here before we crack into Ashtanga primary series, just the standing part. Okay, so come and hop up. Let's come to the front of our mats. And yeah, what I want us to do is just run through a few Surya Namaskar A now. So we're going to start in Tadasana and we're going to inhale and take a big breath up. Reach right up to the sky. And we're going to fold. We're going to get our chest down to our quadriceps. As we exhale, we're going to inhale on the half bend. And then we're going to step or jump back into plank. From plank, we're going to come down through a sort of press-up type position known as Chaturanga. We're going to sweep into an upward dog, hips off the ground, and we're going to come then into a downward dog. Let's look to push the mat as far away from us as we can, and let's look to get the chest as close to the quadriceps as we can. And then we might think about lowering the heels towards the ground. We're going to take a few breaths here in downward dog. Remember, breathing through the nose, stay strong in the core. Don't be afraid to hear the breath. 2 more breaths here. Okay, step or jump to the front of the mat. Half bend on the inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, up we come. And exhale, down through prayer. Brilliant. That's one Surya Namaskar A. Let's do it again. Inhale, we reach up. And just before we do the second, I'm going to let someone just into the room here. So let's inhale, up we go. Exhale, forward fold, chest to knees. Half bend. Those of you just joining us, do just crack on with the practice as you see. We're going to jump back into Chaturanga. We're going to come down, upward dog, and downward dog. Find yourself in downward dog as I let one more person into the room. So just stay in downward dog. A few more breaths in downward dog. Okay. And those of you just joining us, just find a comfortable position in downward dog. We've only just begun, so a few more breaths in downward dog, and then we'll run through a couple more Surya Namaskar A's. So on the inhale, we're going to jump forward and come into a half bend. As we exhale into a forward fold, inhale, big reach up, right up to the sky. And exhale, we're going to come down through prayer. We'll do one more Surya Namaskar A. So big reach up. As we breathe in, exhale, forward fold, chest to knees. Half bend. And then let's jump back into a plank as we come down through Chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog for 5 breaths. Remember, get that chest as close to the knees as you can. Really push through the hands into the mat
And only then are you going to think about extending the heels down towards the ground. 4 more breaths here in down dog. Breathing nice and deep through the nose. On an inhale, we're going to hop forward into a half bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach right up. Exhale, through prayer.
So we've done 3 Surya Namaskar A. We're now going to do 2 Surya Namaskar B. Okay, these are pretty similar but slightly different, so hopefully I'll be able to take you through these well. We're going to have a bend in the legs, and we're then going to come into chair pose. So imagine you're sat down on an invisible chair on the inhale, and then we're going to exhale, forward fold now.
Inhale, half bend, and on the exhale, let's jump back into a plank, down through chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog. Now what we're going to do, we're going to point that left foot out at 45 degrees. We're going to lunge forward with the right foot.
We're going to come up into a warrior 1 like this. And just as quickly as we got into the warrior 1, we're going to come back down
through a chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog. And we're going to put the other foot out, the right foot out at 45 degrees.
We're going to lunge forward with the left now into warrior 1 on this side. And again, just as quickly as we got up, we're going to kick down
into chaturanga, upward dog again, downward dog for 5 breaths. 5 restful breaths in downward dog now. Breathing nice and deep through the nose. Keep that core strong, keep that belly button into the spine. 1 more breath here. As we hop forward into a half bend, into a forward fold now.
Back into chair pose and come through prayer. So we'll do 1 more Surya Namaskar B. Chair pose again,
into a forward fold, into a half bend, jumping back, chaturanga. As we inhale for an up dog, exhale for a downward dog. We're going to point that left foot out at 45 degrees, lunging forward with the right
into warrior 1.
As we exhale, we come down through chaturanga again, upward dog and downward dog. We're going to point the right foot out this time, left foot lunges forward
into a warrior 1 on the other side. We're going to frame that front foot,
kick that back 1 more time through chaturanga, up dog, and we're going to push back into downward dog for our 5 resting breaths here. So again, just look to reoxygenate the body, the physiological system here. Breathing nice and deep through the nose. 3 more breaths. As we inhale, we're going to hop forward into a half bend, forward fold.
Big inhale for the chair pose. And we're going to come through prayer. Okay, that's the kind of warm up if you want to think of it that way. What we're now going to do is continue through Ashtanga primary standing. And let's just get the feet about shoulder width distance apart now. Okay. And what we're going to do, we're going to come into some forward fold variations here. So nice bend in the knees as much as you need to get the chest onto the knees. And I want you just to grab hold of the big toes with your index finger and your middle finger. We call this the Yogi Toe Lock. Okay. And I want you to imagine that your head is incredibly heavy and your glutes are incredibly light. And with each exhalation, just try and get those glutes a little bit further into the air and try and let that head rest down. Breathing nice and deep, a few more breaths here. Okay, we're going to half bend, so straight legs straighten back. And if it's accessible to you, let's put the hands under the feet now. Big bend in the knees to get back down. And again, let's look to
Just try and straighten the legs a little bit with each exhalation. But whatever you do, keep the chest glued to the top of your legs. Elbows pointing up to the sky. Breathe nice and deep. And we're going to half bend again, so straighten legs, straighten back. And what I want you to do is grab the back of the calves now and come into our final forward fold here. Don't forget to breathe, people. We're going to half bend and then we're going to hinge up into a standing position. Brilliant. Okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to step sideways on the mat now, okay? And we're going to reach our hands either side of us. Nice big breath in, okay? And what we're going to do, we're going to point the right foot forward now. We're going to have the left foot at 45 degrees. We're going to keep a slight bend in the front leg. Both hands stay out, and you're going to try and lean forward here as far as you can over that front leg, and then we're going to tilt down into a triangle pose. So try not to lean forward doing this. Instead, look to try and keep the body as straight as you can. You can either look down at the floor or look up at your hand that's in the air into Trikonasana here, triangle pose. A few more breaths here. We're going to take a big inhalation, as we come. We spread the hands really wide here. And we're going to point the left foot forward now. We're going to angle the right foot at 45 degrees. Keep a little bend in that front leg. Again, we're going to reach forward over that front foot, and then we're going to twist down into triangle on this side. Okay, breathing nice and deep. Looking down at the floor or up to the hand. Try and keep the body as thin as you can here. Keep that core nice and tight. And I apologize for any background noises, my dogs just crashing their bowls around and that sort of thing. Okay, what we're going to do now, we're going to take a big breath in the middle. We're going to go back to the original feet position. So right foot pointing forward now, left foot at 45 degrees. And rather than reach down with the right hand, we're going to reach the left hand down to the right foot. And we're going to come into a triangle twist here. So again, breathing nice and deep, line of sight either up or down. And you stay in that position. I'm just going to sort my dog out for a sec. Okay, you're going to come out of posture now. We're going to come into a nice big reach in the middle. And we're going to point that left foot forward now. Right foot comes at 45 degrees. And again, we're going to take the right hand now to the opposite foot, to the left foot. And we're going to twist and look up at that left hand that's in the air. Nice, big, deep breathing. Through the nose. Keep that core nice, strong and tight. As we come up into a central position here, we'll skip a little bit of what Ashtanga Primary tells us to do, and instead we're just going to widen our stance a little bit on the mat, okay? What we're going to do now is we're going to point that right foot again out in front of us. And you're just going to lean into this so that you've got about a 90-degree angle between the floor and this foot that you're leaning into, okay? What I want you to do then is just gently place the elbow maybe at the lower part of the groin, and we're going to try and create as straight a line as we can from our toes all the way up to the air for extended side angle pose here, okay? So try and reach up over your head as far as you can and try and get as straight a line as you can between foot and hand. Breathing again, nice and deep. Brilliant. We're going to keep the feet nice and wide here. Big breath into the middle. Hands nice and wide. Let's swap the feet around now. And again, we're going to come down into extended side angle on this side. Okay. So again, you've got that straight line between the left toes
left fingers, or at least as straight a line as you can manage. Breathing nice and deep here. As always, strong in the core. You can be looking up at the hand or down at the floor, whatever you're more comfortable doing. Okie dokie. Again, we're going to come into the middle. You know the drill now. Hands nice and wide, big breath in. Fill the lungs with oxygen. We're going to do an extended side angle twist now. So right foot points out to the side. We're going to come into that lunge position. And this time you're going to take your left elbow and you're going to put it to the right-hand side of the right knee. Okay? You're then going to create a prayer shape with the hands and you're going to look over the right shoulder into a reverse extended side angle or a twisted extended side angle, whatever you want to call it. Okay, big reach up into the middle again. We're going to do the same on the other side. So left foot now points out to the side. Right elbow comes to the left-hand side of the left knee. And again, create a prayer with the hands and just looking over that left shoulder now for the twist. Try and keep that back foot as grounded as you can. Really push into that back foot because we know the front foot's going to take care of itself. A couple more breaths here. And out of pose we come. Again, spread the hands nice and wide. We're going to skip another tiny bit of primary. Let's widen the feet a little bit more, okay? We're going to come into our 4 iterations of wide-legged forward fold here, okay? So what we're going to do to begin with, we're going to put our hands on our hips. We're going to come down into a half bend, so straight legs straighten back. Okay, we're then going to release the hands to the floor. What you might do is maybe widen the stance a little bit here. Just find a place that's comfortable. And then as we exhale, we are going to fold into a forward fold. Don't forget to breathe, people. Okay, from here, let's reach up. Hands come either side of us again. Big breath in. Hands down onto hips again. We'll come into a half bend. And we're going to keep the hands on the hips this time as we forward fold again. You won't be able to go as deep this time. That's not a problem at all. Elbows pointing as high into the sky as you can manage. Grounding through the little toe edge of each foot. Don't forget about those little toes. Really push those down. Breathing through the nose. Awesome. Okay, let's come up. Again, maybe bring the stance in a little bit. Nice wide reach with the hands. We're going to interlace the hands behind the back now. As we come into a half bend, straighten the legs, straighten back. We're going to push the palms up to the sky now as we fold. Breathing deep. And again, we're going to come up, hands come either side. We're going to do our last variation here. Hands onto hips as we come down into a half bend. We're then going to release the hands to the toes, Yogi Toe Lock again, okay? And then what we're going to do here, we're going to half bend, have the elbows pointing up towards the ceiling, and for our final wide-legged forward fold. We're nearly there. We're nearly just going to have a break, guys. So just take it easy. Don't push yourself too hard. Just find that place of discomfort and just work with the breath. Excellente. Okay, we're going to reach all the way up. Hands nice and wide here. And then we're going to step to the front of our mats. Very, very good. Now, for this next pose, you guys can either interlace the hands behind the back, or if it's accessible to you, maybe come into a reverse prayer, as you can see me demonstrating not so brilliantly here. And what we're going to do, we're going to take a step backwards. We're going to have the front foot pointing forwards. We're going to have the back foot at 45 degrees. We're not going to have too wide a stance here. And we're going to face forward And we're going to come into an intense forward fold here. So we're going to hinge at the hips. Okay, try not to bend the back too much, and just try and work with the breath just to go a little deeper into the posture each time. 5 breaths on each side. Brilliant. Okay, just twist yourselves around onto the other side. So you've now got your left foot pointing forward, your right foot at 45 degrees, and again we're going to hinge into this. 5 breaths on this side. Sorry for, again, any background noises, just the dogs chewing on their bones in the background. But better that than having them running around the sitting room, getting in the way of this session. So one more breath on this side. Excellent. Come to standing. Release the hands as we step forward to the front of the mat. We're just going to work on a little bit of balance now. So if you're new to this, all I want you to do to begin with, please, is I'll just set myself at 45 degrees so you can see. Just grab hold of the lower part of the knee, or I should say the upper part of the lower leg. You don't want to be actually grabbing hold of the knee. And just hold that out in front of you, okay? It might be the case that this alone is plentiful for you, but if you want a little bit more, grab hold of the big toe and see if you can then kick that foot out in front, okay? Even if you've got a big bend like this, that's absolutely fine, but see how far you can go with that. Breathing nice and deep. Another breath on this side. And again, if you just want to hold now the leg out to the side, hold the lower part of the knee out to the side, that's fine. If you want to try a little bit more, again, see if you can now kick this foot out to the side for a few breaths here. Brilliant. What we're then going to do is we're going to put this, we're not doing quite the order of Ashtanga, but that's fine. We're going to put that foot now into the hip crease, okay, for a half standing lotus. All right. You might take the hand that's spare, put it round the back and see if you can grab hold of that elbow maybe. But don't worry if not. We'll take a few breaths here. 5 breaths. Always 5 breaths in Ashtanga, apart from when it's not 5 breaths. Occasionally it's 8 or 10. But the standing series is 5. Okay, last pose on this side. Let's point through the toe, hands on hips, and let's point that foot as far away from us as we can and as high as it'll go. Breathing deep here. A few more breaths. Okay, let's release out of posture, and we are going to do the same on the other side now. So again, if you're new to this, by all means, just hold on to the upper part of the shin, all right? But if you want a little bit more, if you want to push yourself, or if you've got more of an intermediate practice, then allow that foot to come out in front. We'll take some nice deep breaths here as always. Try not to let the upper body collapse. The temptation is to maybe let the form go on one part of the body so that we can get deeper into the stretch on the other. That is usually best avoided. Okay, so we'll have 5 breaths here. It might be the case that you're just working with the upper part of the shin, as I've said. But if you want to, grab hold of the big toe and see if you can kick it out to the side. Wherever you are is perfect for you. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to keep that foot off the ground now. Let's just bring that foot into the right hip crease. Again, might take a little bit of work. This is my weaker side when it comes to these poses. Okay, standing up nice and straight, just allow that knee to come down towards the floor and just grab hold of the elbow if you can behind the back, but no worries if not. You'll hear me say it a lot in yogic practice. Wherever you are is perfect for where you need to be. Don't judge yourself against other people. And a huge part of what yoga is all about is quietening down the ego. Is just allowing those negative thoughts where you might be thinking, oh, I'm not doing this well enough. Just let those dissipate, let those subside. As we point through that front foot, and let's just come into our final balance here. Try and get that foot as high as you can. Try not to lean back too much, okay? Try and keep that center of gravity forward as much as you can. 2 more breaths here. And release. Wonderful. Okie dokie. Come to the front of the mat. And we are now just going to run through the final part of standing. Just got an eye on the time. We will be finished in the next few minutes, okay? And then there'll be an optional meditation for anyone that doesn't have a period 6 lesson, which I'll just run at the end, okay? So we're going to come into chair pose again for 5 breaths now, okay? So just imagine you're sat on a chair. Try and keep the toes off the ground, really push the heels into the ground, and make sure you can see your toes over your knees, please. Okay, hands come together above the head, and look to really try and crush your head with your arms. 2 more breaths here. We're then going to fold. We're going to half bend, and we're going to jump back through chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. We'll just take a couple of breaths in down dog, and then we're going to come into a warrior 1. So the left foot comes out at 45 degrees, right foot lunges forward. We're going to really push through the back foot now, and we're going to bring the hands above the head. We're going to bring that left hip as far forward as we can, and we're going to sink into our warrior 1 for a few more breaths here. Okay, breathing nice and deep. Again, anytime your hands are connected above your head, look to try and crush the head with your arms. And wherever you are, if you just watch me now, we're just going to spin round to the other side. Okay, so you'll be facing away now, or you can just swap the feet if you want to keep looking at the camera, obviously. We'll do 4 breaths now on this side, having already done 1, hopefully. We're now dragging that right hip as far forward as we can, grounding that right foot through the back, grounding that right foot into the ground, sorry. Okay, from here, what we're going to do, we're going to put the back foot out at 90 degrees. We're going to widen the stance a little bit, and we're going to come into our warrior 2. So just make sure that that back hand hasn't like drooped down or anything, that you've got a nice straight line through the body with these 2 hands. Okay, really pushing down through the back foot. Try and center yourself off. You don't want to be leaning forward too much, so you get yourself centered and just looking through that middle finger. Breathing nice and deep. 2 more breaths here. And we're going to swap the feet around now, and we're just going to come into warrior 2 on the other side for 5 breaths.
So I've got Ted to a lesson now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, cheers, Rory. Good man. Thank you. Okay. So a few more breaths. Breathing nice and deep here. And take a step to the front of the mat. And there we have it, gents. That's Ashtanga standing primary. So we're at the end of the session. If you have to go, please do try and find a time to do a little bit of meditation. If you do have a spare 10 minutes now, we will finish with some meditation, okay, which will be in Shavasana. So do just come into a lying down position on the mat, okay? Get yourselves nice and comfortable, and I'll talk you through this, okay? This is our reward at the end of the session. Really always a good thing to do. The analogy that's often used actually is doing the postures, doing the kind of physical stuff that we've just done without doing the meditation is a little bit like cooking a meal and not eating it. So get yourself lying down on a mat or on the floor, wherever you are, okay? Just spread the feet hip width distance apart, okay? Let the shoulder blades and the head touch down. Just try and scoop any excess skin that you might have under the glutes. Just push it back away from you down towards the feet. Look to try and bring the shoulder blades in towards one another a little bit, and just relax the upper body. Okay? And then very gently just pick the head up and just pull the head slightly away from the body. Okay, and then just place it back down. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can ignore that last instruction. And close the eyes down and just find a place of stillness, a place of calmness in the mind. Okay, because so much of our unhappiness in life comes from negative thoughts, whether those are about ourselves or about other people, or about inanimate objects even sometimes, or just situations involving a combination thereof. And what yoga will really help us do is just quieten that mind down. So come to a place of stillness now, and just bring that focus and that attention to your breath. Just try and observe the breath in a way that you've maybe never observed it before. You know, just gently focusing, a soft focus on the breath, and maybe observing the physical sensations as they manifest in your mind's eye. Could be the feeling of the oxygen coming in through the nostrils, or maybe it's going to be the feeling of the belly expanding or contracting. Anything that you notice at all, okay? And just stay with that focus on those parts of your experience that we've been alluding to up to this stage, okay? Namely, focus on the breath. And very naturally, very normally, you will occasionally lose focus on the breath, and you will start thinking about all types of other things. Any number of other things will pop into your head, and this is completely normal. Don't try and force them out. You want to imagine, if you will, that your thoughts are like cars on a motorway. Okay, you got 3 lanes of traffic each way, and you've got all of these cars zooming by. Okay, and those are your thoughts sort of coming and going in your mind, your sort of conscious awareness in that particular regard. And you want to just try and find yourself sat back at the side of the road, just watching the thoughts come and go. Okay, and just accepting that the traffic is always going to be driving by. One of the great misinterpretations of meditation is that you're trying to block or even force the thoughts out. And this simply isn't true. It's a great mistake I made when I first began meditating, because the harder you try to block the thoughts out, the harder the meditative process becomes. It would be a little bit like you're trying to run out onto the motorway to stop all the traffic. And you can only imagine what a disaster that would be. So stay at the side of the road and just observe the thoughts as they come and go, as those cars fly past us on the motorway. And just return to the breath. Just return to that place of stillness and bring your conscious awareness to that calm spot in the mind. Because the breath is particularly useful, because it's both a conscious and a subconscious endeavor. Most of the time it's subconscious, but you can bring your focus and attention to it, and that really helps just stay focused on something other than all those thoughts that can emerge in the mind, like the cars whizzing by on the motorway. So what we'll do now is we'll have a few minutes in silence for you just to work with the breath. And anytime you notice that your thoughts have drifted off, just try and bring your attention back to the breath and just let that thought zoom past, away from us on the motorway. And whatever you do, don't try and run into the road and stop that traffic. Just let those thoughts come and go, nice and gently, soft focus on the breath. So I'll hand over to you now for a few minutes in silence. Anytime you notice the mind has wandered, just bring it back to the breath. And now would probably be a good time to say, anytime you hear noises in the background, like my dog smashing against her bowl, in the same way that you would not judge any of the thoughts, Neither would you judge any background sounds, whether it's the ticking of a clock or whether it's my irritating hound. Okay, so just stay with the breath. Okay, nice and gently. Soft focus on that breath. Anytime you notice the mind has wandered, just come back to the breath. Any noises, just allow them to wash over you and just gently return to that place of stillness. Well, it seems that our meditation has been disturbed enough, so we will finish slightly earlier now. My apologies. Just gently bring yourself back to the room. Often when it comes to meditative practice, we can get annoyed if anything disturbs our practice, whether those are thoughts in our own minds or external sounds. Often in school, it might be a group of people making a loud noise outside playing some sport or something. And in this case, it was my dog being utterly aggravating. But all of this is just part of the meditative endeavor. And in the same way that thoughts come and go in your mind, so too will the noises of, in this case, a dog or whatever else. They will constantly be disturbing you. And all you do is you just let those sounds come and go in your mind in the same way that you let your thoughts come and go. Because it's all one experience at the end of the day. Your internal experience, it uses external inputs as well as internal inputs, if you like, and it creates one picture for you. And so the way you treat your internal sounds, the different voices that you hear in your mind at different times, is exactly the same as the way you treat the external sounds. So yeah, I hope it's been a good practice today. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop the video. So all of you guys that are following on the video, I hope you found this a useful practice. So goodbye from me, and thank you very much.